I really wish I wasn't so inept when it comes to using technology, like the whole bit, because I get so frustrated just trying to get the technical parts of things to work that I never get to the part of, performing something. I mean, it's all in these stupid little details of things that I don't know how to do, and I can't say nobody will ever help me with because, like, sometimes people are willing to, but I'm too stupid to understand what they're telling me. So that's a problem. Um, but if you're watching this and thinking, you know, that there should be a picture, that part I actually did on purpose. I switched the camera so that it's not facing me because I don't want to be on camera right now. Um, I'm I'm kind of making a point, you know. I really need to talk about something, and so I think I'm going to title this video if it actually makes a video and it works. Um, I'm going to call it something like extroversion doesn't mean social wizardry or something like that. I don't know. I don't even know what phrase to use because I'm too dumb to know. But basically, this idea that extrovert is this thing, this status that people have where they've got a million friends and they instantly know how to communicate with people and they just take over a party and all that stuff is crap basically. Like I'm not saying there aren't people that are good at all that. Of course there are, but that's not what extroversion means. In fact, um, if it were that simple, uh, then there would be like it would be like 10% extroverts or even less than that, because that's probably how many people are really really good at that kind of stuff. Um, and the funny thing is, actually, be, by the real meanings of the words, there are introverts who are much better than that, much better at that, at the social interaction type stuff than extroverts. Yeah, I'm just going to speak from personal experience here that I'm frequently ignored. Um, and I'm not, see, I really don't want to make this like a pity party thing. I'm not trying to make people feel sorry for me or something. That's not my goal here. Um, but it really does feel bad when I feel but simultaneously overwhelmed and alone. And it feels lousier when I talk about it, when I express that, because then I feel like, oh, well, I'm overreacting, or I'm not appreciating what I have. Um, I'm people will say, oh, you're whining, or you're trying to make people feel sorry for you or whatever. Be grateful for what you have. I am grateful for what I have. I'm very grateful. Um, I have gotten to do things in my life that a lot of people haven't. And I don't take that for granted. I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I've had, but it doesn't mean that I don't still feel bad when the things that I feel like I need in my life I don't have. And what I see as the true meaning of extrovert really is somebody who needs people. And I know that sounds oversimplified, and the young theists will say I'm wrong about that, because they'll say, well, everybody needs people to some extent or whatever. But that's the gist of it. I can't. I'm not sitting here speaking for all extroverts. But I am trying to, I guess, speak for kind of a ignored segment of the extroverts. And it's not the first time I've talked about this. I've talked about it in, group chats, but a lot of those have been kind of long, and those sentiments are kind of buried in other stuff. And I've typed it out in forums or on Facebook and stuff, and but I feel like that message still doesn't get across because a lot of people have this image of, introvert means shy person who doesn't like people, and extrovert is person who instantly attracts people and can get along with anybody and is extremely popular. And both of those definitions are not true. But it is, on a basic level, about needs and interactions with people. And introverts simply don't need as much, and in fact are bothered by too much interaction with people. And it doesn't mean that they don't like people. Well, no, some people don't, but there's some extroverts that don't like people, which that makes it even worse. And I know people that are extroverts that have told me that they don't like people very much, and that's a tough way to live too, because it's like you're constantly pulled in two different directions, because you have this need, but yet if you fulfill the need, it bothers you because people bother you. I'm not quite to that extreme because I like people. It's just that most people don't like me. And I say that again, not to try to make you feel sad or something, or try to contradict me and say, oh no, people love you. The evidence is in the fact that I don't get contacted by people unless I do it first. And I'm not trying to say that nobody remembers I exist, because obviously that's not true. But they don't reach out to me. It's been a really long time since people have reached out to me. And again, it's not a matter of me trying to complain about something or say that I have a hard life. I don't, from the standpoint of those objective measurables of things like, economic conditions. I mean, I just bought a car, and I have a car payment every month, so that's obviously reduced my disposable income because it's a significant amount, and I make the same salary that I have for the last 3 years. 3 years ago was the last time I got a raise, a little bit more than that. So obviously, I've gotten used to what some would consider a pretty luxurious lifestyle, and the fact that I eat out a lot and things like that. I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to have no money because I've been there. I'm not somebody who has grown up with tons of money or living in and going to country clubs and stuff like that. And I'm not dissing people who have had that life. That's just a matter of circumstance. And I have never been somebody who has grown up with wealth and this feeling like I could just buy anything I wanted. But in the last few years, since I paid off my last car, and a lot of the expenses that I had for my son, a lot of when kids are younger, they're more expensive most of the time. I mean, I'm not talking about things like college and stuff like that, but just the care of kids itself costs a lot of money when they're younger. When you can't leave them by themselves, they've always got to have supervision. So you pay for things like after school care and babysitting and things like that. Anyway, I don't need to go into a long thing about that, but point is that my expenses overall went down, and my rent actually stayed the same for 9 years. That also changed recently. Last year it went up for the first time, and then this year it's gone up again. So there have been circumstances that are causing me to have less income, but still, compared to plenty of other people from an economic point of view, uh, I've got plenty of money. I have a roof over my head. Other than a couple of weeks earlier this summer, I've had air conditioning. and food's never been a problem, and I have a full-time job, and in fact that full-time job actually provides me food if I choose to use that whatever you want to call it. I'm blank for words, but benefit, I guess you could say. It's a benefit my job provides. So on any of those kind of things, I can't complain. I'm not saying I have a hard life, or I'm not ungrateful for the opportunities I've had. I've said before, like if I got run over by a bus tomorrow, I would consider myself to have had a full life. I've gotten to have a lot of fun and do a lot of amazing things, get to go on trips and things like that. I've been to Disney World 3 times. I mean, I've been to the nation's capital. I've been to New York City. I've been to California. I've been, to a lot of places people dream about going to, and I've gotten to, drive all over the roads of Texas and enjoy, different sights and doing that. I have family members that care about me and have expressed that to me. So, again, none of this is me trying to complain or have people feel sorry for me. It's me trying to express the very vivid reality that someone can be any personality type and have problems that are outside of the stereotype of that personality. And I think, and almost, there's almost a thing that it exacerbates. I'm not putting this well, but like, because of what I said earlier, the introverts don't need as much time with people. Um, that doesn't mean they don't get lonely, obviously. Plenty of introverts can get lonely, but they don't, it's not as easy for them to, or not as fast, there's that value they see in the quote unquote alone time. Whereas I don't see that as value, because it's something I feel like is sort of thrust upon me, and it's sort of like again, I'm not trying to overstate this. So I'm using, kind of a metaphor, so don't say that I'm really trying to literally compare this. But it's like a kind of prison. And what I mean by that is it's like prisoners are living, they go through their daily lifestyle. They might be provided food and clothing and shelter, but all things considered, they probably wouldn't choose that life. They'd like to be doing something else. Um, I am grateful for the things I have in my life, like a job, and food, and my family, especially, because they've been the ones that have been most there for me. Um, but that doesn't mean that I still don't feel like there are other things that I desire that I don't have access to, or I don't know how to acquire, and I get tired of things that basically imply that it's just a matter of applying yourself to something or asserting your will in a certain area. Um, because my experience is that really isn't true. When someone is in a situation where you feel like you can't get out of it, there's no amount of like advice from people about, oh, well, you just have to believe in yourself, or you just have to, grab hold of every opportunity, or this kind of like cliched sloganing. Problem with the YouTube videos, my YouTube videos, I know I tend to ramble on, and so they're not as popular as shorter videos because people, see a long video and they're like intimidated by it because their attention span or whatever doesn't. They feel like, oh, that's too long for me, even though it's pretty easy to just stop a video if it's too much for you, and if it that's the thing, if it's compelling, if something is compelling enough to keep listening to it or keep watching it, then you will, you know. So I just get tired of that kind of crap too. Like, yeah, um, it's probably pretty obvious that I'm not in a very good place right now, and again, it's not nobody needs to worry. Like, I'm not suicidal. I'm not trying to um, say that again that I've got some sort of rough life. That I'm just I'm trying not to get you to focus on me. I know that sounds funny coming from me, but I really actually am thinking more about, if you're listening to this and you're in Paraguay or Idaho or China or someplace way far away from me, regardless of whether you ever interact with me, there are people in your life who are experiencing the same thing I am. And I don't know how specific what I'm talking about is. I've used extrovert as a term because it feels like these are people who will know what I'm talking about when I talk about feeling alone, needing people and not having that need met. And they will also people that also are not great at meeting people or knowing how to do that kind of social networking. I'm 38 years old, almost 39, and I still really don't know how to talk to people. Like, I know basically how to use words, like words come out of my mouth. I can do transactions with people. You know what I mean? Like, I can walk into a place and order food. I can walk up to someone and say, I need to renew my driver's license. I can do these kind of business transactions. But I am not good at like social transactions. I never have been, and I always feel like I was absent the day that was taught, in school or whatever. And it was like, and that never seemed to occur to anybody. I talked about this way back when I did my thing where I read the ISFP description and talked about stuff out of my life. But it really seems like that people don't acknowledge that that's like something that people don't know how to do. Like, that there's a skill involved in that. It's just, oh well, some people are outgoing and some people aren't. Well, it's not that simple. Anyway, I'm already up to the 17-minute mark on this, so um, I don't know. I might stop this and make another video. I might not. I don't know. But what I'm trying to get across is there's people in your life that probably would love for you to reach out to them. And I'm not talking about some fancy thing or you've got to say, I'm devoting my life to your needs, anything like that. It just might be as simple as somebody that, hey, let's go and go out for coffee or something. I don't even like coffee, but I'm just using that as an example because it's something I know a lot of people relate to. Let's go have a drink and talk, or let's grab a snack or whatever. But even something as simple as that, like, there are people right now that in your life that would love for you to do that. And I'm one of those people. I'm just really trying to not, break down doing this because that's not what I'm trying to do. But I'm gonna leave that in, leave this in here anyway because I want you to know that I'm serious. And again, I'm not asking for pity. That's not what I want. I want you to reach out to somebody you know. Because right now, somebody needs that. And you might be the person that can give that to them. And again, in my case, it's just been a little bit of a rough time. But there are some people that it could be the difference in, whether they do live or die. In my case, it's not. I'm not trying to be over dramatic here. I'm just saying, realistically, it's a huge thing. And I'm not exempting myself from that. And that's the thing, is I know before I even finish this, before anyone else hears it, that might be a thing. Somebody says, well, how do you know that somebody's not wanting you to reach out to them? I don't know that, and I think there probably could be, and I've tried to do that. Maybe not enough. Maybe I need to do that more. Maybe I need to, kind of recalibrate. I've thought about that recently. About like I need to do more like volunteer work kind of thing. Reach out to stuff in my area more than I have been. So maybe that's what I take out of this. Maybe from talking this out, and that's another thing. It's kind of the stereotype, but it's true with extroverts. Is like we think about things by talking about them, and that's part of why being alone sucks so much, because it's harder to do that, because I don't want to sit here talking to myself, which is what I'm doing now. But I'm recording this, thinking that I'm going to upload it. And I think I'm going to, because I don't know. Somebody can hear this and think I'm crazy. Whatever. That's people that know who I am. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about seeming like a mental case or whatever. Because I think for as long as I'm being brutally honest, like for a long time, I haven't been putting up videos because I don't like looking at myself. And that's another thing that probably, I'm sorry, I'm trying to compose my voice so I don't just sound like I'm talking with helium in my mouth or something. But that's another thing probably a lot of people relate to, is that, they don't, they would like to say a lot of things, but they're afraid no one will listen because people don't want to look at them, or they feel like they don't. And I guess I better end this here, but I just wanted to say, for anybody who, had wondered about me or why I haven't done much videos lately, well, it's part of the reason. There's a lot of reasons, but part of it is my own insecurities, I guess, with what I look like and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if this works, then I'll upload it, because even if only one person or a few people somehow benefit from it, or I don't know. I mean, somehow somebody hears this and it helps them in some way. That's always what I feel like maybe would be a positive thing. Because I know this probably isn't very entertaining. I like to be entertaining, but I know this one just wasn't going to be that way. And I'm sorry about that. But sometimes it just can't be.